Mars didn't die of old age.
It was murdered. 4 billion years ago, Mars was alive. It had oceans, rivers carved through ancient highlands. Rain fell from thick clouds. The atmospheric pressure was strong enough to keep liquid water stable on the surface. Mars was like Earth. And then something happened, something so catastrophic, so absolutely final, that it turned an entire world into a frozen desert wasteland in geological instants. The killer? The sun. But not through heat, through something far more insidious. The sun didn't burn Mars to death. It stripped Mars naked, flayed away its atmosphere molecule by molecule, bombarded its surface with radiation until nothing could survive.
And Mars couldn't fight back because someone had already stolen its shield. Tonight, you're going to witness a murder, the murder of a planet. And when you understand how it happened, you'll realize something terrifying. Earth is next in line.
Let's examine the body. Mars today has an atmospheric pressure of 600 pascals. 600. Earth's atmospheric pressure is 101,000 pascals. Mars has less than 1% of Earth's atmosphere. When NASA landed the Curiosity rover in 2012, they had to use a sky crane because the atmosphere is too thin for parachutes alone. Too thin to slow you down, too thin to protect you. The temperature averages negative 63 degrees Celsius. At night, it drops to negative 125, cold enough to freeze carbon dioxide out of the air into dry ice. The atmosphere that does exist, 95% carbon dioxide, unbreathable, toxic.
And the radiation. Oh God, the radiation.
The Curiosity rover measured radiation levels of 0.67 millisieverts per day on the Martian surface. That's 240 millisieverts per year. The International Space Station, shielded by Earth's magnetic field even in orbit. 200 millisieverts per year. Mars receives more radiation on its surface than astronauts get in space. A human standing on Mars unshielded would receive a lethal radiation dose in about 25 days. The sun's radiation, unfiltered, would cook your DNA. Cosmic rays would shred your cells. There is no protection, no shield. Because Mars's shield was destroyed.
The sun is not your friend. Every second, the sun ejects 1 million tons of charged particles into space at speeds up to 900 kilometers per second.
This is solar wind, a hurricane of protons and electrons, plasma heated to millions of degrees, screaming outward in all directions. When this plasma slams into a planet's atmosphere, it doesn't bounce off. It rips atoms away, one by one. It ionizes oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, strips away their electrons, and carries them off into space like a cosmic sandblaster. Earth loses about 90 tons of atmosphere to solar wind every day. 90 tons. That sounds catastrophic, doesn't it? But here's the thing. Earth has a shield, a magnetic field generated by our liquid iron core spinning 2,900 kilometers beneath your feet. This magnetic field extends 60,000 kilometers into space, creating a bubble called the magnetosphere. When solar wind hits this bubble, it splits, flows around us. We are protected. Mars has no such protection. NASA's MAVEN spacecraft, orbiting Mars since 2014, has been watching the murder in real time. MAVEN measured solar wind stripping away 100 grams of Martian atmosphere every second. 100 grams per second. That's 3,150 tons per year.
But that's more than Earth loses, you say? Yes, because Mars has no shield.
And during solar storms, when the sun becomes violent and ejects massive coronal mass ejections, MAVEN watched Mars lose atmosphere 10 times faster, 1,000 grams per second. The sun was actively devouring Mars.
But it gets worse. In 2015, scientists made a discovery that changed everything.
Using data from MAVEN and ESA's Mars Express, they pinpointed the exact cause of death. 4 billion years ago, Mars's magnetic field collapsed. We know this because Mars's surface still contains magnetic signatures, fossil magnetism trapped in ancient rocks, formed when Mars did have a magnetic field. The youngest of these magnetic rocks? 4 billion years old. After that, nothing. Silence. What happened? Mars's core went cold. Being smaller than Earth, only 53% of Earth's diameter, Mars's interior lost heat faster. When the liquid iron core cooled enough, it solidified, stopped churning, stopped spinning, and when it stopped spinning, the magnetic dynamo shut down.
The shield fell, and the sun began its work.
Scientists used computer models to simulate what happened next. Within 500 million years, solar wind had stripped away most of Mars's atmosphere. The thick, protective blanket that kept water liquid and the surface warm, gone, scattered across the solar system like ash. The atmospheric pressure collapsed, and when pressure drops below 611 pascals, the triple point of water, liquid water becomes impossible. Water can only exist as ice or vapor. The oceans began to evaporate, and the vapor, the solar wind, stripped that away too. Mars didn't lose its water because it got cold. It got cold because it lost its water, and it lost its water because it lost its shield, and it lost its shield because its heart stopped beating.
This is how you murder a planet.
But we have evidence that Mars fought back, evidence of what it was before the murder. Curiosity rover found river stones in Gale Crater, smooth, rounded pebbles that could only form in running water. Rivers once flowed there for thousands or millions of years, carrying these stones downstream. NASA's Perseverance rover is exploring Jezero Crater, an ancient river delta, where a river once emptied into a lake 3.7 billion years ago. The sediment layers are still there, preserved, a graveyard of water. Orbital imagery shows ancient valley networks across Mars' southern highlands, thousands of kilometers of dried riverbeds. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter found clay minerals that only form in the presence of liquid water over long periods. Evidence of an ancient hydrological cycle, rain, rivers, oceans. And in 2018, scientists confirmed it. Using ground-penetrating radar, they found a liquid water lake beneath Mars' south polar ice cap. 1.5 kilometers down, 20 kilometers wide, kept liquid by salt and pressure. A survivor, hiding. The last remnant of Mars's oceans, trapped underground where the solar wind cannot reach it.
Mars was alive. The evidence is irrefutable, and something killed it.
Now let's talk about why you should be terrified. Earth's magnetic field is not permanent. It is not stable. Scientists have known since the 1960s that Earth's magnetic field reverses. North becomes south, south becomes north. It has happened hundreds of times in Earth's history. The last reversal was 780,000 years ago. And it's overdue. During a reversal, which can take 1,000 to 10,000 years to complete, the magnetic field weakens dramatically. It doesn't disappear entirely, but it becomes fragmented, chaotic. Multiple north and south poles appear. The shield develops holes. What happens during these holes? In 2014, scientists discovered that during the last reversal, Earth's atmosphere increased its loss rate. Not catastrophically. Earth is larger than Mars. Our gravity is stronger. We hold on to our atmosphere better. But the loss rate increased. The sun got through. And there's something else. Something we're discovering right now. Earth's magnetic field is weakening. Since we started measuring it in the 1800s, it has decreased by 10%. In the South Atlantic, there's a region called the South Atlantic Anomaly, where the field is 30% weaker than average. Satellites passing through this region experience electronics malfunctions. The shield is developing holes. Right now, today. Is this the beginning of a reversal? Scientists don't know. Reversals are chaotic, unpredictable. We've never observed one. But here's what we do know. Earth's core will eventually cool. Maybe in 1 billion years. Maybe 2 billion. But it will cool. The dynamo will weaken, sputter, and die. And when it does, we will follow Mars into the dark. Mars is a warning, a cautionary tale written in rust and ice, a dead world that shows us exactly what happens when a planet loses its magnetic shield. The solar wind is still there, still stripping away what little atmosphere remains. Maven watches it happen every day, 100 grams per second. The murder is still ongoing, has been for 4 billion years. And Mars cannot scream. Right now, 2,900 kilometers beneath your feet, Earth's core is spinning, churning molten iron, generating the magnetic field that keeps you alive. That keeps the solar wind at bay. That allows water to exist. That makes life possible. Don't take it for granted.
Because Mars didn't.
Keep imagining.